I'd like to call the Chickasha City Council meeting to order. I need a roll call, please.
Boyd.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Ebethwaite.
Here.
Ashanti Alexander.
Here.
Crosland.
Here.
Curtis.
Here. And here.
And Mosley.
Here. We'll start off by have a prayer by George Ann Hibblethwaite and pledge by Oscar Nelson.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather in these chambers tonight to take care of the business for the city and her citizens. We ask that you continue to watch over all of our employees, our first responders, return them home safely each day after their shifts. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any citizen comments? Okay. Council communications, I'll make a couple of points here first, and then we'll open up to council after item A. Staff acknowledgement. Rachel Burnish, Assistant City Manager, received the Oklahoma Women in Municipal Government 2023 Woman of the Year Award for communities over 5,000 during the 2023 Oklahoma Municipal League Annual Conference held in Oklahoma City about 10 days ago. So congratulations, Rachel, as well. All right. Just saying, Jim, I'm going to do the council, then we'll have you up here next. Work? Any other comments from the council? Okay, Jim, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and give a brief update on the Economic Development Council and what we're working on. I'd like to start by saying a huge thank you to the City of Chickasha. This past weekend, even though this wasn't the EDC that did this, the EDC teamed up with the Chamber and we teamed up with the Rock Island Arts Festival, the Rock Island Ride, the Walk. It was just a fantastic weekend. Heard a lot of positive comments. Saw a lot of positive comments on social media. We got attention all around central Oklahoma from newspapers, from TV stations, and you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about shining a positive light on Chickasha. And this weekend, I felt like we really put our foot forward in a positive way. Now, we also want to work on how do we get it better. How do we make it better for our local merchants? We're very concerned about that. We love it when everybody comes in and enjoys all the food trucks, but we're also very sensitive to what changes can we make to make sure that our local folks also feel like they're getting a chance to do some business with the thousands of people that are coming. As soon as we know the placer data that allows us to measure all that, we'll certainly release it. But you know, the City of Chickasha has the big sponsor, and the only way this event works is with sponsors. And Zach and Josh and the vision they had 6 years ago, you know, I mean, first of all, that's just a huge thing. They handed it off to the Chamber last year, and it was a successful event. Last year, our goal was just not to screw it up. Now we're looking at wanting to grow it. But having the support from the City of Chickasha, I'll mention the fire department at the end, the role that they played kind of at the last minute, again, helping us out. It's really, really appreciated, and having that kind of support, you know, people probably get tired of me saying this, but when we all work together, amazing things can happen. Okay, so the EDC. Well, the first thing I want to do is let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about transparency. I had an opportunity to work with the city manager and work closely with Keith and also with Rachel. And our goal was how do we change up the contract between the EDC and the CIA? I know you all went into several executive sessions trying to look at all that as well. Certainly a lot of scrutiny, and you know what? There's some positive things that came from that scrutiny. I believe we made some changes, and changes for the better. And so just as a reminder, just so everybody knows, the EDC meets, has a board meeting once a month. It's the second Tuesday of the month, and it's an open meeting. It's at 7:30 in the morning at the chamber in the boardroom, and we normally have a full boardroom. We normally have a lot of guests there. At those meetings, we go through an agenda that's posted in advance so everybody can see what we're talking about. If we're discussing grants, those folks are welcome to come and listen in to hear what the discussion is. We review our financials. Our financials, we work off of a budget. That budget's approved by the EDC board, and then we send it on to the CIA board for approval. One of the changes that we're doing this year is that on a monthly basis, we're submitting more detailed financial information like check register. What are we spending our money on? And who's being paid what? I think that's a huge positive. You know, the EDC has a one-year contract with the CIA, so it's an annual contract that obviously we hope gets approved every year. But we submit a work plan, and we say, in exchange for this level of funding, here are the things that we're going to do. As much as possible, we want that work plan to be measurable. And then I give a report on a monthly basis on what the EDC is doing operationally. Then at the midway point, I'll do a written review. Here's our work plan. Here's what all we said we'd do. Here's where we are. We still need to work on this and this. And then at the end of the year, we do another written report that says, okay, we said we were going to do this. Did we do it? And I can say the past couple of years that we have done pretty much everything that we said we'd do, but there's always been some things that would have to carry over for different reasons into the new work plan. But that is all very much out there, and I believe you all received a copy of the work plan. So you can see what we're saying that we're trying to do. The EDC and its books are wide open. Any questions that the CIA has, that the City Council has, why are you spending money here, why aren't you spending money there? Those conversations are available to anyone that has any concerns. And we feel very confident that even though not everybody agrees with every decision we make, that we are trying to move things in a positive way for Chickasha. So our website lists all the board meetings, the agendas. It shows who the officers are. That's all obviously very accessible. But the big thing I think everybody wants to know is, what about jobs? And that's our goal, is to bring in new business. And you'll see that, you know, in the past year or so, here's 20 new businesses. And, you know, if we probably looked at it and did a little bit more of a thorough detail, I'm sure there's some other businesses that have opened. A couple of these businesses received what the EDC refers to as a new business startup grant. And what that is we take money out of our allocated amount from the CIA, and we help they're typically a mom and pop type business, and we pay either their first 3 months rent or their first 3 months in utilities, because we believe that in their first 3 months, sometimes that's the hardest it is to get going in business. And if you look at the majority of those that are listed there, there's a lot of small businesses on there. They're almost all small businesses. So besides just helping them financially, though, we also want to help them understand what's going on in the community. Some of them are entrepreneurs that have lived here for a long time. Others are new to the area, and they're excited about what's happening in Chickasha. So jobs is so key, and everything we do, that's always going to be one of our first goals. In my work plan, you see major goals, and then I line out how we're going to achieve those, and it's always going to start with jobs. But you know, another very important part is, what do we do for business expansion and retention? And the EDC has some funds available, but where we can really make a big impact is when we can work with the State Department of Commerce or other grants that are out there and help our local businesses know, here's some things that you may not be aware of. You're so busy running your business that you weren't aware that here's some incentives that are available on the state level. And this past spring, we worked with the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, and these funds are state funds, and you see the totals of what they did to help our local businesses. One of my concerns is always going to be a local business person saying, hey, you're so busy trying to bring in new jobs, new businesses to compete with me. What are you doing to help me? And all I can do is try to put myself in their place. How would I feel if somebody else was out there trying to bring in competitors? And of course, we're in the free enterprise system, but the more we can also help our local businesses. And that's where, at the time when I'll wear a dual hat and be with the chamber and the EDC, when we can work on programs that really encourage people to spend their money here, it just helps everyone. But there's more programs out there, and it's my job to be aware of those and then get those communicated to our local businesses. Promoting local business. When I started with the EDC back in 2020, there was no such thing as Visit Chickasha. With my previous experience, I understood and saw and benefited from the impact of tourism. I felt like that Chickasha had tourism happening. We just weren't telling people enough about it. My gosh, the Festival of Light is still the most successful and most well-attended light show in the whole state of Oklahoma and really in this whole southwest region. And the Festival of Light has done a good job. But as a whole, I wanted to tell more of the story. We're more than just a Christmas town. We are a Christmas town, but we're so much more than that. So by creating the Visit Chickasha, we have an app, we have a website, and we have a Facebook page. It allows us to promote all the businesses. And the other thing that it has to do, we have to let people in Chickasha know what's going on. I just don't like it when I hear someone say, there's nothing to do. Oh, it's just Chickasha. That may have been an issue in years past, but I'm telling you, it's not an issue right now. And especially as we see more and more businesses coming in that are geared towards entertainment, we have a lot to do. So we're going to tell our story. We want everybody to know about Chickasha, Oklahoma in a positive light. Unfortunately, things that happen that are negative, they get a lot of attention. And when those things happen, we really don't have any control over that. I believe one of the important roles that the EDC does is to tell everybody about all the good stuff in Chickasha. And when you look at publications like the USA Today, the New York Post, TV stations from all over coming in to do stories. And yeah, a lot of them are about the leg lamp, but there's, we were on in Oklahoma City and Fox 25 last week, as well as down in Lawton. I will preach and preach about our trade area. We have, in my opinion, have to quit thinking of ourselves as a town of 16,000. We have to acknowledge the fact that our businesses do business with people in an area and a map of almost 90,000 people. When we're selling Chickasha to prospective businesses, we have to let them know people from all over come to Chickasha to spend their money. And as we get positive attention, that just helps our image. This past week, several of us that are in this room tonight were at a luncheon at the Cowboy Hall of Fame. It was put on by the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, and they talked about regionalism. And they talked about how important it was for all of us in the central Oklahoma area to work together. Whether we're bringing in housing, I can tell you Chickasha has some housing that Edmond, Oklahoma does not. Whether we're talking about quality of life, reasons why people would want to live here. Amazon, in today's paper in the Oklahoman's, talking about 2,200 jobs that they're trying to fill just in that South Oklahoma City location. From downtown Chickasha to that Amazon is less than a 30-minute drive. So there's a lot of opportunities. Do we want an Amazon in Chickasha? Maybe. We're sure not going to turn it down. But until we find that big whale from a manufacturing standpoint, we're certainly going to promote the fact that there are jobs within a reasonable drive if they don't work right here in Chickasha, and they can live here and enjoy everything that we have to offer as a small town. You know, we try to give information about our local economy. That's in the contract that we have, the EDC has with the CIA. On a monthly basis, we talk about Chickasha by the numbers. We take sales tax information that's provided by the Oklahoma Tax Commission. We include that with the hotel motel tax. We talk about the building permits that have been issued, and it's measurables. It shows what's happening in Chickasha, Oklahoma. It's not just a cheerleading speech, it's the actual measurables that shows that Chickasha right now is seeing historic sales tax levels that's never seen before. And everybody will be quick to point out, oh, it's inflation. And I just went to the grocery store yesterday, and you're right, inflation's playing a huge role. But our percentage increase during the July reporting period exceeded percentage-wise every other city in the state of Oklahoma except for 3. So we're in the top 4 in terms of increase in sales tax over a previous year. And so we're making strides. Yes, every other city is seeing inflation affect their sales tax, but we're seeing it at even a higher level than most of our peer cities. You know, it's sometimes hard to explain, what does the EDC do? And I'm trying to give a brief overview tonight, but I feel like our image is so important. I love this community. When we can have sports teams and kids getting involved, getting dirty, cleaning things up, planting flowers, we have had an outstanding past week from Chickasha Public Schools, from Friends Schools, from USAO, all jumping in to volunteer. And that's how, in my opinion, we build a strong community, is we start with the young people. We want these people to be proud of what we have, and we want them to be long-term part of our workforce here and not be losing them to other cities. So things like overseeing Keep Chickasha Beautiful. I think that's critical, and Cheryl Critchfield has taken over that, and she does a fantastic job. There's plenty of room for us to get better, but that group meets on a monthly basis and tries to figure out what it can do to help out in the city of Chickasha. Also, in the past year and a half, we started the Chickasha Community Alliance. The one thing that I've heard, whether it was at the Council of Mayors or whether it was at the luncheon that I attended last week, is that every city in Oklahoma is challenged with homelessness. It's not anything that's unique to Chickasha, and it's also, there's not an easy solution. But through the Community Alliance, what this group does is it meets on a monthly basis. I ask the Resurrection House and the Salvation Army to be the chairs of this. And it gets a group of people that includes city staff together and talk about how we can all work together, how we can avoid duplication of services, and for those that want the help, how can we help them? They don't all want the help, but for those that want the help, we do want to figure out how we can all work together. You know, I could go on and on. I love my hometown. It's been an absolute dream for me the past 3 years, but we have so much more to do. I've been called a cheerleader on social media, and those that did it were trying to be critical. I just smiled and I said, thank you. I won't ever apologize for being proud of my town, and I won't ever apologize for telling everybody I know all this good stuff in Chickasha. How about some questions? That's all you're writing. Somebody's got a good question.
What do you do to expose Chickasha as being a place where all races can feel a sense that they belong here?
Well, so, Dr. A, that's a great question. And the first thing I'll do is say not enough. We have a parks committee that has been meeting on a regular basis now for over a year and a half. And one of our questions is, as this downtown park gets built by the Chickasha Community Foundation, how do we acknowledge the past, and then how do we embrace the future? and that future has to include and recognize diversity. In a town that is, percentage-wise, I don't have the exact percentage, but it's the majority is white. How do we get more people of diversity involved and engaged?
Let me suggest this to you, that you bring people in who have that vision to do that. Consultants, persons who live here. I'm sure you have the knowledge to do that. It's got to be more than just talking about it. And I'm just suggesting that you and I have had conversations in the past of things that can be done, and I'm just saying we got to do them. People who spend their money or vote for taxes, they want to feel a sense that they too are part of this city, and I'm not just talking about racially. So those are the concerns that I have.
Understood.
And that when we talk about diversity and we talk about the park or anything, just listen to your rhetoric and ask yourself, how does that sound? And if what we're doing matches up to what we're saying, and we're listening to all of the segments of our city.
Okay.
We need to visit, if we can.
I'm glad anytime. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
And that goes for anybody on the council. Sometimes something comes up at a council meeting and we don't get to do a deep dive into it. Anytime anybody would like to meet up, do a call, I'm available. I'll come to you. The more we communicate, even if you think what the EDC is doing is wrong, it's even more important. Tell me why, and let's talk about things that we need to do to get better, because we do. Dr. Ray, I don't disagree with anything you say. We do need to get better.
On like the downtown grant program and such and other programs, what changes are you looking to make for the future to expand upon the program, how to make the money last longer? We've had some great encouragement. It's done a good job getting people to invest privately, but we also need to expand more on that. What plans have y'all set for that?
I met with both Keith and Rachel last Friday, and I promised Keith, I think he's out of town for a few days this week, that by this Friday, the EDC will provide some recommended changes to that downtown grant. Right. That grant that was written and created back in 2018 or 19, okay? Things are changed, they're different. The grant funds that are available have also diminished, and understanding how much are available might change up how those last funds that the city has should be utilized. So we're looking at that really close, and we understand the urgency because of the grant applications continue coming in because people are excited about what's happening.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Jim, you said something about the parks. You have a parks committee that meets. I noticed in your draft here that there's a few mentions of the new downtown park. I would like to see if we could pull in the focus to add all of the parks in Chickasha as a Chickasha park system, that we would kind of bring all those together, because we have parks that need a lot of help, a lot of revamping, renovations, and updates, that people know that they can take their children safely to any one of our parks, and they have maybe some shade sail areas, and just kind of look at like you mentioned in here, going to other, taking day trips and going to other cities. I think what you'll find is there's a comprehensive park system in most of those communities, and I think we could up our game. Not saying that we're doing anything, we're just not doing enough in the park system, I think. And that ranges all the way to what I've already spoke about, Lake Chickasha recreational area, and just, more venues for our families, more of a focus on the family here in Chickasha. And you're focusing great on jobs and bringing new businesses in, but I didn't read a whole lot in here that we could just really pull out and say, hey, ADC and the chamber, they're really focusing on family friendly spaces here that we can get together and create these traditions together.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is that obviously city parks are like not not in my wheelhouse, okay? Now, through Keep Chickasha Beautiful, do we want to go in and do volunteers and work with Spencer and his, to clean up like
Right.
we did after the fireworks were shot on July 4th? Yes. Do we want to work with the city parks, and when we did the 4th of July family-friendly like bicycle deal in the park during the day, do we want to do those events? Yes. So it's real. We want to be supportive, but the downtown park is being done with private funds, and that's got to get built first. But I think, I mean, I'll put it out there publicly that if whatever the EDC can do to help in any area of the city, we're all ears. We just got to figure out. We don't want to overstep our authority in any way. We want to work with the city departments. So whether it's like Chickasha or the parks, if there's anything we can do, we're ready to sit down and talk about it.
That's a discussion like the park meetings they're referring to was the all downtown park, which is like I said, funded by the Chickasha Community Foundation. The other parks, that'd be a council. So it probably would be a bad idea to have a work session that we can discuss those things and set priorities, working with Spencer and budgetary items with Robert Brooks and such to make sure, to see what we can do. Then probably with, the big thing is grants, you know, going after those grants and having a grant writer that can help us secure those funds. Because we have those grants, you have to have a match. So you gotta make sure you've got the cash set aside to match all those projects up ahead. But a work session is probably the best place that we need to get started at this point. I mean, I can address that with Keith when he gets returned from his meetings.
Well, that's what keyed me in, is this point number 6 on his goal 3, is that research grant opportunities. And I was like, okay. So
Yeah, that's them, and then we will also have our own too that we'll work with. It's like we have the grant that's from ODOT for Shannon Springs, which is the $1.9 million, which, talk to Spencer, that's like 2020, late 2024 now. Is that what the state's done to us? 25, there you go. But I know so that the downtown park is also working with ODOT for a pedestrian bridge, possibly grant for that. So
There's also been
different projects.
There's been no name for what we're referring to as a downtown park because we're still in that planning stage. And there's been some input, a couple of people said maybe it shouldn't be called the downtown park. Maybe it should have a separate name so it doesn't get confused with the city parks. And I think that's something that we need to examine and consider because we've got a lot of work to do there.
And I think this may go into the park situation, but is there any plans to help promote the sports complex? I know it brings nearly 500,000 people into Chickasha, and that they pay hotel motel tax, which in turn, you know, goes to the EDC. Do you have any plans on helping promote that, or any ideas?
I'm sorry, that could be a good CIA project too.
Okay.
Because it's got tourism involved there also. And there's some of the funds could be used for that. It's like 2 years ago, we spent $100,000 leveling the fields and such because if it rained half an inch, we couldn't play for a day.
Right.
And now
I'm just saying help promote that.
Yeah.
Right. Because it could be considered tourism, I guess.
Absolutely.
So,
well, one of the things that we've done is we have created a tourism brochure. I should have brought one with me, but that is being put out all over Chickasha, and we will have a holiday tourism brochure done before the end of October that we'll be putting out in other areas, like welcome centers around Oklahoma. I meet with Shay on a monthly basis to try to figure out how we can work together to promote different things that are going on. We try to help as much as we can to promote the air show. But in terms of the sports complex, again, that's something that we would love to be involved in, whatever role that, again, that's kind of through Spencer and the Parks Department, but anything that we could do to help promote sports teams coming to Chickasha, we'd be all for.
I know there's a few towns that are building new ones, and I'd like to stay ahead of that if we can.
Yeah, no, I
Very
agree.
close
And that could
by.
be, when Keith gets back, we can open all that up. Rachel, you writing that down? Thanks.
Jim, do you have it in the last part of your draft here? It's metric and accountability for goals. Is that your reporting, there's points 1 through 4. I didn't really pick up on the fact of where you're reporting to the council. Is it just internally to the EDC whenever you're doing your reporting?
In terms of reporting to the council, in the contract that the EDC has with the CIA, it says in there to make updates to the city council. And
Okay.
so it's not in it may even not be in the work plan, but it is in the contract that we have. And
Okay, I just didn't see it in the draft here.
yeah,
so-
no, and I try to be at most city council meetings.
Right.
And, but in terms of giving a formal update, to me, a spring and a fall make a lot of sense, but then I'm also willing to do it at any time as needed.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? All right. Jim, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. Item 4, consent docket.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call?
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6A, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase of a 2021 Dodge Durango Pursuit all-wheel drive for the amount of $31,775 from the Kansas Highway Patrol.
I move to authorize the purchase of a 2021 Dodge Durango Pursuit AWD for the amount of $31,775 from the Kansas Highway Patrol.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call?
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Yes.
Mosley.
Item 6B, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase of an in-car camera system from WatchGuard Motorola, a sole source provider for the upfitting of the 2021 Dodge Durango. What's the PIU, G? Police Interceptor Unit, for an amount not to exceed $7,275.
I move to authorize the purchase of an in-car camera system from WatchGuard/Motorola, a sole source provider for the upfitting of the 2021 Dodge Durango PIU for an amount not to exceed $7,275.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6C, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the upfitting of the new 2021 Dodge Durango Police Interceptor Unit with Metro Emergency Upfitters under state contract for the amount not to exceed $20,000.
Move that we authorize the upfitting of the new 2021 Dodge Durango PIU with Metro Emergency Upfitters under state contract for an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6D, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase of a Vistacam Eventide voice and radio recorder from state contract in amount not to exceed $38,301.
Move that we authorize the purchase of a Vistacom Eventide voice and radio recorder from state contract in an amount not to exceed $38,301.
Second.
Discussion?
Everything we're voting on is for this one vehicle that we're buying from the Kansas Highway Patrol, correct?
That would be.
Just the one vehicle?
Yeah.
Could I get you to ask your question again, sir?
Everything that we're approving from 6A, 6A is the vehicle, 6D is the last part that goes onto the vehicle. All of these is for the one vehicle, correct?
ABC is for the vehicle.
Okay. 6D is not?
That's correct.
Okay.
6E is not.
What about D?
So D and E do not have anything to do with the vehicle.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, man, we're getting a lot into these vehicles. They cost a lot. So, okay.
Anybody else? Roll call?
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ebelthwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander.
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6E, excuse me, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase of voice over IP capabilities for the VistaCam Eventide voice radio recorder from state contract in amount of $3,378.20.
I'll move that we authorize the purchase of the VoIP capabilities for the VistaCom Eventide voice and radio recorder from a state contract in an amount of $3,378.20.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ebelthwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6F, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve ordinance 2023-31, the rezoning request for lots 30, 31, and 32 in Block 1, University Heights addition to the city of Chickasha, Grady County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof.
I move to take action to approve ordinance 2023-31, the rezoning request for lots 30, 31, and 32 in Block 1, University Heights addition to the city of Chickasha, Grady County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof.
Second.
Discussion? On some rezoning, we have to have hearings and such. Is this not required for this?
So I checked the state statute after the OL conference, and we don't actually typically have to have it at council because I have a public hearing
At the plan commission? Okay, all right, very good.
Most cities almost all of them do not have the additional public hearing at.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else? Roll call?
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ebelthwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6G, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve Resolution 2023-22R, amending the master fee schedule to provide for deposits required for certain items available for checkout from the Parks and Recreation Department.
I move to approve resolution 2023-22R, amending the master fee schedule to provide for deposits required for certain items available for checkout from the Parks and Recreation Department.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Nelson,
Yes.
Ebelthwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6H, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize staff to renew coverage for general liability, property, and auto insurance coverage.
Move to authorize staff to renew coverage for general liability, property, and auto insurance coverage.
Second.
Discussion? That property premium's cheap, I'm just telling you. Roll call?
Ebelthwaite,
Yes.
Ashanti Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 7, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn? I'd like to call to order the Chickasha Municipal Authority. Roll call, please.
Boyd,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Hebblethwaite,
Here.
Grace, Shante Alexander,
Here.
Crosland,
Here.
Gertis,
Here.
Mosley.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
Move we accept.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Shante Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn. I'd like to call to order the Chickasha Municipal Airport Authority. Need a roll call, please.
Boyd,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Hebblethwaite,
Here.
Shante Alexander,
Here.
Crosland,
Here.
Gertis,
Here.
Mosley.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
Move we accept as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Shante Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4A, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve pay request number 1, amount of $212,773, rehabilitate runway 1836 and taxiways to Tri-City Seal Company Incorporated.
I move that we approve pay request number 1 in the amount of $212,773, rehabilitate runway 18/36 and taxiways to Tri-City Seal Company Incorporated.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Shante Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
and Mosley.
Yes. Item 4B, discussion, consideration, and possible action action on task order number 5 to the owner-engineer agreement between the city and Park Hill for construction administration, resident project representative, and construction materials testing and review services related to construct T-Hangar project.
I move to approve task order number 5 to the owner-engineer agreement between the city and Park Hill for construction administration, resident project representative, and construction materials testing and review services related to the Construct T-Hangar project.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Shante Alexander,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 5, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn. Thank you, everybody.